Let me wish you all an official welcome. Thank you so much for spending part of your Tuesday evening with us. My name is Chanel Richterink. I am the Agent Services Coordinator at Keller Williams Grand Rapids North. So that's in Michigan, over here. And we started doing this dual agent or dual career. I always see dual agent, you guys, like you're spies. Dual career agent mastermind here a few months ago, and we do one every other month. And it's been so nice, not only for the people in our market center that are balancing more than one career, but to make friends and acquaintances with people from all over the country that have been able to join us in this mastermind series. So I'd like to introduce our guest this evening. Adam Sellars is an agent out of the Charlotte, North Carolina area. He's actually the new productivity coordinator for his market center because he recognized a need that was happening there and took it upon himself to really step out into a new role. And I think that's fascinating. But Adam, as a brand new agent, working full-time, closed 14 transactions for $4 million in volume. His first year, sorry, I'm muting as we go here. His first year, and that's a big accomplishment. And so I am really looking forward to what he has to share with us tonight. Oh, and he has a friend with him today, which is great. So I know that he's going to have really good insight into how to leverage your time and work the models, and technology is kind of his expertise as well. So without further ado, Adam, the floor is yours. Do with it what you will, and leave room for questions and answers at the end.
Oh man, such an open door. I appreciate you, Chanel, and thanks for introducing me. Yeah, y'all, dual career, what an amazing adventure you're on, that you get to do something that not a lot of other agents get to do, as well as be able to fund what you're doing and trying to grow into the real estate career. So kudos to taking that step. It was probably one of the hardest things I had to do. So a little bit more about me is I'm an IT application programmer by heart. I built a medical record program called Epic for a long time. And along with Epic, I saw this thing of I wanted to get out of corporate world and own a business worth having and lives worth living and a legacy for my children. So you're all gonna laugh, but my big why is, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Yellowstone or the show Yellowstone. That I want that property. Like I want a big property at Beach Mountain that I can protect my family with. And because Gary Keller tells us that 2 years from now or 2 decades from now, you're always forgotten. So I don't want to be that guy that's forgotten with land and legacy. So one of my big drivers and my big whys is that legacy worth leaving for my kids and property and land. So that was my huge driver to getting into real estate. So talking a little bit about that, I know that you guys are probably like, well, how'd you get the 4 million, gross sales? And my GCI was $120,000 for the year. Net was 74,000 after cost of sales. So as you can tell, knowing your numbers is very, 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 very important. So I'll open that up to anybody that has a question on knowing your numbers, or maybe that can be a good conversation starter there. Cool. Anybody have any questions on knowing your numbers or the 30-30-40 model? Cool. All right. So then I guess one of the bigger things that really helped lead into my success was leveraging technology and time blocking. So who all here, if you've got a quick second in the chat, know how to raise your hand? Could you throw your hand up if you've read the One Thing book yet? All right. So we got one hand. Oh man, 2 hands. There's a couple more. See a couple of yeps in the chat. Yeah, so that was where I went first. Time block, time block, time block, time block, and time block. I realized the problem that we had, or we all have, right, is there's this big time of what do we do? Where do we find time, right? How do we find the time to do something? How do we, we're working 8 to 5. People may not want to talk to me. So, I really had to think of ways to do that. One of my first steps was the Pivot Shift Ahead Club on Facebook, because it's similar to this mastermind group, but it's at 8 a.m. And that's like my energy plan or my get into activity plan. So then I'm masterminding kind of like you all at night or in the mornings with them. And so, that's really where I started the one thing. So knowing how to time block my day. So I live by my bold calendar. I was going to grab it as I looked around for me, but so that's where I wrote down what I wanted to do for the whole day. So I would start at 8 a.m. with that, and then 9 to 9:30 was a real quick legion time. And then usually, as anybody would, I snuck in at lunch from 12 to 1, and I would try to do my call to connects or my care calls that most people are trying to attain with the 10 contacts. And then around 7 o'clock at night, I would do the other subset of calls, follow-ups, setting appointments, making sure I had everything ready. Any questions there? I know, Keon, you have your hand up. So did you have a question?
No, that was just for the one thing. I'll take it back.
For the one thing. Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure. No worries. So yeah, I mean, the one thing is really a big book that I would recommend everyone on a dual career kind of use as their guide. The One Thing book, you can do it at theonething.com. It's about, on Audible, it's free. It's $10 if you buy it on Amazon on paperback. And it's worth every cent. And then, like I was saying about time block. So the other thing was energy plan, because I'll not lie to you. I got my license and I had a kid at the same time I was doing this 4 million. I had my second kid. So yes, call me crazy. And my wife is also, but your partner also has to be on board, right? And so I think what's really important there is like expectation setting and really sitting down with your partner and saying, hey, there are going to be times where can you pull extra, or can you give me that time, or can you honor that time for me to build a bunker? And sometimes they're going to go crazy, and sometimes it works perfectly. We like to use the word at Keller Williams grace when things don't go well, as you saw. My daughter totally walked in and just wants to hang out and see what's going on. So, and people don't mind it, taking that mindset away. If you're on a Zoom chat with somebody about a listing, they actually love to see your family and love to see it be natural. So I've never gotten overly upset about that. So yeah, so that's a little bit about like the time block and the energy plan. I'll kind of stop there. Does anyone else have any questions or want to take a deeper dive into time block and energy plans and kind of what I did? Go ahead. Feel free to unmute.
I'm brand new, so I know nothing about anything. I'm just absorbing it all.
No worries.
Not interested. I don't even know what to ask.
You're good. That's awesome. I appreciate you.
Hey, Adam, did you, what hours did you work your other job? Was it just a typical 9 to 5 or?
Yeah, typical 9 to 5. It's funny. I used to have two computers. Like I would turn this way and have a conference call or something. I felt like, a lot of times I would call those conference calls of non-active conference calls. I would kind of turn to the left and listen and maybe grab a chance to send a text message via Twilio in Command. And I can show you all a little bit about that. Or, create a Facebook ad so that I could generate a lead so that way I could just message them or send them a quick email while I was the passive person on that conference call. Because we all know in 9 to 5s, there is definitely time for a passive conference call where you're just should have been an email meeting. Go ahead, Roger.
Hey, Adam. Question: how much new technology is too much? How many platforms can a normal person put themselves on each day? And then something else is suggested to you. Oh, you've got to be on that too. You got to be on Twitter. You got to be on Facebook. You got to be on this. You got to be on that. Where does it stop? And when do we streamline some of this? And I know Command and our company is particularly trying to streamline a lot of that now. And Command has certainly done a great job. But on the exterior, the peripherals, what do you utilize is what I want to get to. I want to get to the gist of it. What do you use and what have you cut out along the way?
I haven't cut. I wouldn't say I cut anything. I commanded more.
outside of Command, Facebook.
Oh yeah, nothing.
Twitter.
I use Facebook ads. So I can tell you a little bit about how I'll do that. Facebook ads are my go-to for lead generation. Okay. Last year alone, I spent $1,425. I grossed out of that $35,000 in gross commission income and closed sales. So I would do. Here's the tip. Nick Baldwin's Command Your Conversion, great Facebook group. I'm sure Chanel can drop it in the bottom there. And I took what other people were doing And one of the pro tips is, I know you might not have a listing yet, or if you do, great, advertise the heck out of your listings with Facebook. You will get, take it and do $30 for 10 days at $3 a day. So less than a coffee at Starbucks for 10 days. On average, I was getting anywhere from 60 to 100 contacts.
Nice.
Every one of those.
Nice.
The biggest thing with Facebook that you have to realize is that when you do it day one, just like anything in that life cycle that we talk about, or you've probably, if you're new, you haven't heard Jason Abrams mention it, is you're going to get some people that are at the bottom of the life cycle, and you're going to get some people that are at the very, very top. They're ready to buy, right? Bottom meaning they're not ready. They're just looking at properties, blah, blah. But the great news is it's your chance to capture them in mind share, because obviously they don't have someone who's done that. So what I would do with those is the Nick Baldwin or the Marty Miller 66-day smart plan. There's my leverage, right? They come in, they hit the lead, I add them to a smart plan because I'm at work, right? But it's quick for me, speed to lead. If I get a notification on my phone that someone's been added as a lead, I would instantly just add them to a smart plan, go back to work, right? Because the smart plan does the work. It sends the text, it sends the email, it sends the, the follow-up, and it creates the task for you to make the phone call.
Hey, Adam, can I ask a question?
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, Roger. So, okay, so I have been mastering going through command, setting up the Facebook, the 30-day. I'm not getting the leads though. So obviously I'm doing something wrong. I'm not writing the correct words or, the right, because I've been doing my app a few times. The last time I did the app, I got nothing off of it. So are you saying go to these two, like the Marty and the Nick, that will help me produce a better advertisement?
The command your conversion will really help you because every ad that you do has a structure, right? The structure is emoji based, short sentences, and then a great call to action, and with a highlighted photo, right? What people are drawn to in the room. So just like when you do a listing presentation or showing of a home, or you're doing an open house, you want to be in your feature room, right? You want to be in the place that people are going to be drawn to. So you want people clicking what they would be drawn to, whether it's a pool, maybe it's a beautiful kitchen, maybe it's the amazing master bathroom. And then in the sentences at the bottom, which we call the CTA link, I'm doing learn more, buy now, and making sure it's in caps so that it really, and in bold, that it really pulls and draws your attention. But having that structure is step one. Step two is your interest. During COVID, gym equipment down here in the South, I don't know about up north, got kind of silly. I mean, it's like $4 or $5 a pop to do gym equipment. So what I did is in the interest, I actually put the gym. And people are like, well, why would you do that? Well, every person that Googled a gym got my advertisement. So while they're scrolling through Facebook, they're looking for gym equipment. They were getting my listing in their advertisement. And so it's kind of just thinking out of the box, but those little nuggets will give you advantages that people aren't thinking of. Did that help?
Yeah. So you would put that in like the CTA link that would kind of like, that's what, when people are searching, like, I mean, the other day I was looking for a dog cage, and honestly, that's all that pops up on my Facebook now. So if I put stuff like that in the CTA link, then I'm going to see them more.
Not into the CTA, but into the interest section. So once you've done your CTA and you've got your beautiful ad, going down into the specific interests that populate in command and doing it that way, you tend to pull in different things. And like I said, gym equipment was nuts down here. And I was getting 60 to 100 easy on every one.
The first time I ran a Facebook ad, I completely missed that interest section and just sent my ad out like spreadshot to the entire universe. Didn't do much for me. Went a lot better once I found that custom interest section and could kind of start drilling down into my audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's kind of where dual career, where we get our leverage from, right? Because if we're doing the specific interest, we're doing ad leads like large agencies are doing in big companies and big teams. That's how we can grow our database without having to and be able to farm other areas without having that problem of like, where do I get I can't make a phone call today because I'm stuck in 14 hours worth of work. I'm exhausted. I really leaned in heavily to that. And I finished the year doubling my database to 1,400 contacts with $1,400 invested. So it was worth and $35,000 in gross commission income. So I netted 30 grand solely from doing Facebook leads. Cool. Thanks for that, Roger. That was a fun part there. So I guess, is there any other things talking about lead gen or lead follow-up that I can help you guys with from a dual career perspective? Smart plans are a big one. Definitely
I was just
smart
going to say, tell me your favorite couple of smart plans, sort of the steps in them and the things that you're seeing success with when you add leads to a smart plan.
Yeah, contacts are not contacts until they're fully built out, right? So the biggest thing for me is making sure that every contact that I have in my database, before I did Facebook and smart plans, I had to earn the right to get to that. So meaning, when I say earn the right, meaning like every contact in mine has a neighborhood nurture. And the only way you get a neighborhood nurture is a physical address. So there is a smart plan for getting an address from someone in the smart plan database. It's an amazing one. I can try to find it and show you guys, but it's basically, hey, I'm missing your physical address. Another fun one is birthdays, because birthdays are easy to write handwritten cards for people's birthdays. So there's a great smart plan for that. And then a missing email or a missing phone number. So what I really wanted to do is use those different smart plans during the day to send a text or an email, or allow me to have a conversation. The smart plan for the birthday text is amazing. So the smart plan I used was basically, it said, hey, I turned 36 this year. One of my 2021 goals is that I know everyone's birthday, because I know how crazy COVID's been. I don't seem to have your birthday. Would you be willing to share your birthday so I can make sure I send you a handwritten card this year, because it's important to me to tell you happy birthday? And that text went to my whole database. 285 people answered me. So it's really kind of awesome. So now I have a new fun thing. I have to do birthday cards, but another touch that you get to do in your free time and can leverage later, if that makes any sense. So that way you're not having to pick up the phone and ask for it. I'm a heavy Twilio user for sure.
Do you find that you have a better response from text touches as opposed to email touches?
Absolutely. I feel like email is what we call just the marketing side of it. And the emails are, I do my holiday emails with Command, your typical birthday email, your typical 4th of July's, like all those different ones, the monthly newsletter. Those are really kind of just keeping people seeing me, like seeing my face. The text messages and the phone calls are definitely, or the Facebook messages are definitely the more intrusive, hey, I'm really trying to talk to you kind of conversation, and have to be, or kind of important for you. Cool. Any other questions on lead gen or lead follow-up that I can help with?
What would be your single greatest tip for a new agent balancing a second career, building their database from the ground up?
Don't let your mindset get in the way of your own success. It's challenging. There are days that are going to go perfect, and there's days that are going to go like crap, and you're not going to get anything done. And you just have to give yourself grace that day. Just kids get sick, or life goes weird, or just giving yourself grace when it doesn't. But continue to stay the path, and you'll find out that if you build that database and you build it right, you'll find out, and you systematize it, you do it to everything else in front of it, if that makes sense.
Talk to me about how you used your 9 to 5 to dovetail and feed your real estate business.
That's the hardest thing. I actually did it, and I didn't have a lot of success with that. None of my clients came from anyone I work with. And it was a challenge for me. And COVID did a lot of that, because it took me out of the office. So, not being able to talk to people, I'm like, hey, I'm in real estate, like, coffee talk or lunch table talk. But if you're in the office, I definitely don't be afraid to tell people what you do and be proud of it. And I'm sure, that just kind of comes in the same play. Cool. And then, one of the other things I think that it's really important to talk about is Gary Keller always says your freedom number. I'm sure some people want to stay in their dual career world, but there are most that probably don't. I could probably get a raise of hands if most people got into this so that they don't have to do both eventually. So I had to set a freedom number for myself. Like, hey, my wife's Austin. Hey, Austin, like, what does it take for me to get away? What is it going to take for me to break free of this? I called it the ball and chain of work, of being able to have that freedom to be in real estate full time. How do I earn that? What does that number mean to us? And so we sat down and we had to have real conversations. Like, how much do I need to have in the bank? And how much do I need to have saved up? We were also able to, with the dual career option, go debt free at the end of last year, which again is another huge driver, I'm sure, of things in your guys' worlds that you're trying to figure out how to do. I definitely listened to season 5 of Think Like a CEO. That wealth building subset, I wish I would have had when I was doing it. I had to go to The Path of Money, which is another book, to do it. And yeah, so my freedom number was definitely very important to us. And once we achieved it, I then broke away. And 2 weeks ago, like Chanel had said, I now am the productivity coach, which I got to do FR and look up at my wife at the end of the day and say, that was really cool. I just worked all weekend. For some reason, it doesn't feel like I worked. Like, I don't get it. Like, it's so weird. And so, that's kind of, what I was shooting for. So does anyone have a question on what that freedom number means, or do you need me to elaborate on any of that further?
Stacy had her hand up here a second ago, and I don't know if it's on this topic or the one what we were on before, but was there a question you had, Stacy?
I did. I jumped in kind of late. So I was wondering, what was your career? What was your career, whatever you had, your dual career and your real estate career?
Yeah, I'm IT, computer application programmer. So at a desk, fixing computers, client calls, customer service all day, every day. Fixing workflows for end users.
So were you able to do any of your real estate work, like while you did the IT work?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of sneak over, like I was telling earlier, on a passive conference call or during a lunch break, early in the mornings. Really try to use those times as much. And like I said, time block. So I wrote everything on a calendar. One of the other things I think that I learned the most in dual career that Keller Williams taught me is I had to put the same systems and models that I was putting into my business into my work. And one of the hardest things I think that people at my work were like, what is wrong with you? Because I would be like, look, I have a time block. Like, I put my lunchtime on there, and people would try to schedule calendar time during it. And I'd be like, sorry. Hate it for you. Like, this is my protected time block. So, one of the things was really, saying and using that mindset of saying yes to your calendar invite was no to my personal time, was a hard concept for a lot of people to understand. But I'm trying to remember, and Chanel, you may have to remind me of the book, but the talk, it maybe, I think it's in the one thing, it's really saying when I say yes to this, saying no to this. And I would really push my boss on the same kind of concept, was the one thing concept of like, hey, here's my times I'm available. Here's everything I can do at a high level in my 40-hour week. I have to manage my time block even better here, because in order to get my real estate time blocks to align, leaving at 5 o'clock is a big deal. If I leave at 5 o'clock, what am I saying no to at work? But that can wait till tomorrow, because usually it wasn't a fire. Someone wanted to make it a fire, but it really wasn't. Like, you could always get away from it. And then really pushing my company and the people around me to adopt the one thing mindset of saying yes and no to things, and obeying my time blocks in the mornings, not setting meetings at 6 o'clock and asking me to get on them. I really implemented that because it was also, it added value to my family. For them, and it added value to them, whether they realized it or not. It gave value back to them to realize that time block was that valuable to me. Hopefully that helped.
Our team leader here in Grand Rapids always says, even if you are a dual career or a part-time agent, you still have to approach it with a full-time mindset. And I think that's a lot of what you're talking about. Even if you have fewer hours in the day to do this. You still have to approach it with the structure and the commitment and the business owner mindset that you would if you had 45 hours a week to do it.
Yep, 100%. And I hope that helped answer your question.
I have a question.
Shoot.
Taking aside for a second today and technology, can you tell me a little bit about traditional advertising and how you utilize it, or how other successful players do? And if it works also, like billboards, local newspapers, giveaways, your own water label, your own wine label, car magnet ads, which I just had drawn up. I had these big oval 2 foot by 1 foot, very nice oval magnets that you can pull off your car to put on the passenger and the driver's side. Can you address that a little bit? I mean, what happens in America a lot of times is we bring something new into the picture and we throw everything out that came before it, rather than sometimes adopting a little bit and bringing it along the way.
Yeah, no, Roger, that's a great question. I'm on the keep it simple kind of status. The car signs are cool, but I really found that they only worked in my neighborhood. You know, maybe I felt better that someone realized I was the real estate agent in my neighborhood. But from an advertising perspective, we have some of the greatest tools on the planet right now in the lead accelerators. Keller Offers, Keller Mortgage, and Keller Covered. Those three giving cash offer options. So I use mailers, the real mailers in Command as well. And that's how I attracted a couple of appointments, and I've been on and had one listing from mailers in Command using Keller Offers and Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered. But I also use them in Facebook lead ads as well. So I may be even simpler than that. I try to do things that are sticky if I'm farming my neighborhood. So sticky meaning like a recipe book. Something that people are going to like grasp to, because if you just hang a door hanger, you're just the next guy that hung a door hanger. So I try to find sticky things like coupons, or even a better one. So getting with local vendors to say, hey, I'm going to hand out 150 door hangers. They're going to cost me $300, but as a thing to you, could you throw $100 my way and I'll put a 10% coupon on all my things and reduce your cost that way? Or a lender. Those are great people to do that with, but finding people to help you split the cost. And then another fun thing that I do is we have a popsicle joint called Velo Pops. I don't know if some people have probably King of Pops or different custom popsicle places, but during the spring and the fall, I do quarterly events in my neighborhood with those. So I'm like, come, and I don't pay a dime. They just roll up their cart, pull it in my driveway, and then I go out and talk to people and have a Prosecco pop and talk about real estate if I can, or just be the person that's out there bringing these fun things. Food trucks are another great way. So just thinking of ways of value that you can continue to put your smiley face up next to them as things that are happening in the neighborhood.
Do you see billboards being utilized much down your way anymore? I've seen them disappearing a lot, but upstate New York, there's still a lot on the highways, the throughways, big 30 by 50 or 10 by 20 billboards with people's faces on them, and what they can sell to you and market to you in the real estate industry.
Yeah, so I stick to the 30-40 in this, and that's 30% of cost of sales of how much you're making on your gross commission. But think of it in that aspect. So if your gross commission currently is you've only netted 14 grand, I don't know if you can quite afford that. So yeah. That's where the mindset goes in for me instantly, to manage that profit first mindset, because really you have to be better. You really, with dual career, want to be more frugal, but very sticky in how you advertise. Okay. Thank you. Did that help? Yes. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, I live by the 30-30-40, and I'll replay that, and Chanel probably can break it down. It's 30% cost of sales, 30%, and then 40% profit. And so that basically if I don't have it in the bank, I haven't earned the right to spend it, and I can't use it in advertising. So I can drop that in here, Chanel. I think. Yeah,
remind me what the second 30 is. It's 30% cost of sales, 30%, and then 40% profit. What's the middle one? Anybody on the call from KW that knows this? I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank.
It's marketing, isn't it?
It's marketing. It's okay. Your office fees. But here, I'm going to drop it in the chat real quick. Sorry.
Nope. Perfect. And then Carolee, I saw that you had your hand up.
you all have a copy of the MREA P&L in your in the chat now as well.
Thank you. My question was, I am still trying to learn Command and how to use smart plans. And please forgive me, Adam, as I do not have the IT math skills you do. I'm very technologically challenged. So is there an easy tutorial somewhere to learn how to really take advantage of what's in Command for us?
Yeah, answers.kw.com is where I go. And I'll put that in the chat there.
Okay.
That is the great tutorial walkthroughs. And then YouTube, Marty Miller, if you subscribe to him, he is amazing.
Okay.
Also, depending on your market center, Scott Leroy is a great resource as well to get all that information.
Yep,
Thank
Scott
you.
is awesome as well.
Carolee, if you scroll back up, I put Marty Miller's YouTube channel link in the chat, as well as the Command Your Conversion. That is Nick Baldwin, and it's a series of tutorials that you work through, and you have to actually pass them as you go. You're not allowed to skip around. And so that really walks you through in like 5 to 10 minute segments through Command.
It's 30% commission. Sorry, my brain went. It's 30% expenses, 30% cost of sale. Cost of sale includes market center splits, and then 40% profit. So long day. I apologize, y'all.
Hey, Adam, I got a question. And Roger kind of touched on this a little bit, I think, was we are blessed with a wealth of, we just rattle off a bunch of training and educational kind of stuff with KW, which is fantastic. Dual career wise, how do you prioritize? It's like, I'm like the kid in the cereal aisle going, I want, the sugar coated, this one and that one and that one and that one and that one. You can't do all 30 or whatever. Did you face that at all, or prioritize what are the topics, areas, or how did you deal with that wave of valuable information we could use?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I stuck to the fundamentals, and these are what I really kind of stuck with was MREA, shift, and the one thing. And then once I've perfected those, then I earned the right to go to the next subset of books or knowledge and education. And then supplementally, obviously, command training in your market center, are the definitely ways to go. And then find your one thing. What do you want to do? It could be FSBOs. Like I interviewed an agent who was in her second year, Emily Peckham, amazing kid. She did 107 FSBOs in her second year. I mean, just stuff that it's when you do it at a high level, commit to it, make it your one thing, find your lead domino, knock it over, and then start to build from there. Did that answer it for you, Mike?
Yeah, that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, mine was Facebook lead ads. I knew in order to be successful and have enough time in my day to do lead generation, it was through Facebook, and that's where I got most of mine last year, and open houses.
Yeah, that's something I just recently have kind of come to terms with is focus on those one or two lead gen. Don't try to do it all. And so I'm actually kind of redoing my plan and all that to really get really laser focused, because I have to.
Yes, hyper local, hyper focused. Find it's the 4 conversations is what we like to call it in Keller Williams world. And if you I call it Google it, KW Connect, the 4 conversations almost. I can drop that in there too before we're done. But the 4 conversations around taking 100 of all these crazy things and all the trainings that we have and finding what you want to do well. And you may pull one out and put one in, and you may pull one out and put one in, but you just start to hone in on it. And then through the year, for me this year, all I'm doing is repeating what I did last year, then I'm plussing it. So I found that Facebook was great for me for lead gen. Open houses was great. So I've shifted to a virtual style. And now I'm just doing those at a high level. Does that help?
Adam, talk more about virtual open houses, because I think it's obviously where we are right now. And I think it's kind of an obstacle for some people.
Sure. I love it. I love virtual open houses. So I go to the market center and I ask anyone if there's a property that I can list. So that's the same thing with my Facebook lead ads. If I don't have a listing, I just post in my private market center group, hey, does anyone have a property they mind I'll list or do a Facebook lead ad for or a virtual open house for? Generally, there's agents in the world that are like, what agent in the world wouldn't say yes? And big mega agents love it. So if there's a big, huge agent office in there that's in your market center, I always say reach out to them. Be bold with it. Don't be afraid. And then the plan, you basically, I'm going to do this quick because I teach a class on how to do virtual open houses. It's crazy awesome. So advertise it on Facebook. So creating a Facebook lead ad through call to action that you're going to have a virtual open house. I do them 4 to 6 during the week. If I'm going to do it non-virtual open house, I do it on Saturday at 3 or 2. Same kind of similar timelines that you would normally see an open house on, but during the week, most people are at home from 4 to 6 or turning off for the day. So I tend to capture people. And then what we do is Eventbrite. That is my nugget. Eventbrite, you create your Facebook event, create an Eventbrite event. And then once you've done those two and you have your Facebook lead ad, you'll start to see people registering for your open house. And we'll generally get 10 to 15 name, email address, and phone number. And one of the questions we add to Eventbrite is, when are you looking to move in the next 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months? And that's part of the registration questionnaire. And so you advertise the heck out of it, go live on Facebook, have a fun conversation via Zoom, and show the house off from front door to back door. Biggest pro tips, I use a gimbal. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a gimbal, or you're probably like, well, what is that? It's a phone stabilizer. DJI makes them. I'll put their link in the chat there. They're amazing. And then I use a Smart Mic Plus. It's a wireless Bluetooth microphone so that everything sounds really clean and crisp and clear. And I walk through the house. I monitor the comments. And I talk about the features of the home. I make sure all the doors are open, every light's on before I ever go live. And then just preview the house. I save the best part of the house till last, but I never mention price or address. But I do disclose, obviously in North Carolina, we're required to disclose brokerages and things like that. But the reason I don't tell price or address is I want people to comment on it, so then I can comment to them after the open house. And in 15 to 20 minutes is a good amount of time to show the property. If it's a massive house, obviously it can take a little longer, but around average single family residentials and townhouses, 15 to 20 minutes.
And then what do you do with the leads and things that you get from there?
You just snuck into my favorite Keller Williams Facebook open house follow-up plan. I put them on a smart plan right away. Some more leverage there, and just dump them into that smart plan, which then gives me the follow-up call opportunity. Hey, I sent you a text. Thank you for coming to my open house. I appreciated you being there so much on the virtual open house. I noticed that you didn't ask any comments or questions, but did you have any more questions? And also, by the way, here's a link to the property if you'd like to look at it again. And here's a link to my Zoom recording if you'd like to review it. And I send that via email and text.
Hey, Adam, your lead gen methods of Facebook ads and the open houses, they attract buyers. How many were you buyer heavy with that 4 million? Did you have more buyers than sales?
We did 6 listings and the rest were all buyers. So yeah, we were about 60-40 last year.
Okay. Did it ever become overwhelming because you were buyer heavy? You had to do that after work. So did it become hectic showing houses?
Yes, and being purposeful, but generally the mindset that I removed, most people want to see them after work anyway. So that was where it was a kind of an okay thing for me. But yeah, the biggest thing though that I learned in 2020 was a transaction coordinator. So I stopped doing paperwork after the 3rd transaction. And James Shaw looked at me on the 8 a.m. call, and you probably go back and watch the recording. And he was like, I said, well, why do good agents don't do paperwork. It's what he said. They do lead gen. So that helped me have another way. And generally the $200 I was spending on the transaction coordinator helped me have a little bit more time to do the other stuff too. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Yeah, and I used Keller Offers a lot to get my listing appointments, a ton. The cash offer program to try to track the listings. Referrals from other agents were a big place too.
That was about to be my next question, is as a dual career, how do you get the listings?
Yeah, so that's one we've been having a lot of challenges with actually this year. And so one of the challenges that I've been pushing through and I've pushed myself into is I'm using Offers. I don't know if anyone's heard of them yet. So Offers is a newer Keller Williams partner. And they're a lead gen group. It's about $300 a month to tell you, and they have an algorithm that tells you basically how to, what homes are going to be most likely sold in your zip code. So I've been using this lead gen platform for about a month now. And so I'm interested to work on this, but I'm really excited about it being another leverage partner to help me get listings. What it does is it gives you a percentage likelihood that the person's going to want to sell their home. And so that's where I'm going to start to use the 8x8 campaigns to target those folks this year. Because the listings are definitely a room for improvement.
That's a great idea, but upstate in New York, for example, I mean, and New York State, we have some major restrictions because of COVID. We can't do any blind lead sales, and this falls into that category. They give you the email, they give you the call, the phone, and what have you, but you're not allowed to access anybody through it. So what do you do? What good is it right now?
Yeah, I would check with your BIC on that one. In New York, for North Carolina, we're a little bit less restricted, but I would ask them what your appropriate, opportunities for contact is. We do get a physical address with it, so that's one of the things where I can send a mailer or flyer over.
That's true. All right, good enough. Thank you.
Yeah.
Adam, one of the kind of things that I'm sort of gleaning out of what you're saying is that as a dual career with a limited amount of time, that often what you find yourself doing is kind of trading time for money, right? So you're using a transaction coordinator, you're using some supplemental programs that you pay for to generate leads, you're pumping money into Facebook ads, and you're obviously seeing a return on investment for that. But for someone who's just starting out, who is looking at seed money being an issue for them, where would you prioritize, do you think?
Your database, your sphere of influence. I mean, you're in mom groups or dad groups, building those up, and telling people about your business, making those phone calls 12-week year. Yes, I'm using that. It's amazing. But yeah, setting those, your sphere of influence, generating those conversations in that has been a big deal to me. I got 6 of my referrals for buyers last year and 1 of my listings from my sphere of influence. Before I spent money, I had those things happening, and it's really perfecting that database, and then being in front of them and challenging yourself to have that neighborhood nurture on every contact, and then calling everyone and be like, hey, did you see my neighborhood nurture? Like, did you have any questions on it? I don't know if you guys all know about the neighborhood nurture, but I can show you really quickly, since I do have ability to share my screen. I'll do it really fast. Let's see if I can do it. If it'll let me do my whole screen. Let's see if I can do that really fast. So the neighborhood nurtures on everybody's contacts. You can see I was working on a training for Scott Leroy. Can y'all see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So the neighborhood nurture on every contact will give you the ability to give a snapshot for the homes in their area. And obviously right now listings are a challenge. So you can see here, I've tagged as many people as I can possibly tag. And then when you go into the contact, the neighborhood nurture down here gives you the ability to see everything here. And you can see the different emails that you're sending through your timeline. But when you hit the copy link button here, and hopefully you can still see my screen when this happens, because I'm sure if it was showing all of it.
You're good.
Yeah, this is the neighborhood nurture. What's really cool about this is in the neighborhood nurture, it gives you in your neighborhood and neighborhoods surrounding homes that are for sale currently that day. Even cooler, say I'm like Roger and I'm up in New York, but I have houses or interest in North Carolina. The user, the person that you're giving the neighborhood nurture to, can add the neighborhood of any neighborhood in the country. No other Zillows, Trulias, anybody can do that for people. You have to set up a separate search, which gives you a new email. And I don't know if you've ever seen that happen to you with Zillow, where you'll get 4 emails of different neighborhoods. This one actually does 1 email, all nice and pretty. And for example, if I want to look at the White House, you can actually literally pull up the White House. So it's pretty cool. And you can even pull up, let's see, Roger, where are you from up there again? OP's on mute. Or Chanel, Michigan.
Yep.
What's a neighborhood in Michigan you got?
Do Grand Rapids, Michigan.
There we go. And then you can just hit follow and hit confirm. And now that's the person now officially gets the next email full of Grand Rapids, Michigan's, or already gets the update right here. And they can see all the properties available, which is pretty cool. So that's kind of why I tell everyone this is the most powerful email you could give someone in your sphere of influence and contact database.
Can that assist you in your comparables too for your like-minded sales within your market of the house that you're listing or selling or purchasing?
Go off of it, but I use our matrix generally to try to stick to that, our MLS drips. But yeah, so yes, another place that I use heavily is designs. I'm a designs nerd because I am horrible at creating. I'm not a marketing guy. I don't know if anyone on the call is or maybe isn't, but I set up the pre-created Facebook campaigns and use this to create we just now did a magazine. So I've officially launched my magazine. These things are all things that Reminder Media and some other marketing people that you have to pay for that I've tried to leverage when I'm a new agent to save some cash that you were, mentioning. So, I have our new, my friends and family are in here and ask for some permission to let me use it. So, this is a quick win for you if you're a new agent trying to get your name out there. You can launch this and have, your listings and everything in it. So absolutely love the magazine. But designs is definitely where I learned the most. So if anyone had to say, what do you use the most in Command and why? It's designs, campaigns, and contacts. And then Smart Plans are my lead gen follow-up kind of setup.
Right. For any of you that aren't comfortable unmuting or don't have microphone, if you have any questions for Adams that you want to drop in the chat, I'm happy to read them off. In the meantime, we're down to our last 10 minutes. This hour has gone super, super fast. So anything that you feel like we haven't talked about that you want to, I have one in the chat. Can you please elaborate a little bit more on offers.com?
Yeah, I'll try to save it for offers because they're amazing at telling their story better than I am. No offense to that answer. But yeah, they're really great at explaining it. It's zip code based numbers, percentages, and it's an algorithm that we don't quite yet have in Command, which will give you the ability to know what a potential person who's going to list in your zip code is going to raise their hand based on searching and networking in their own algorithms that they've built into their system.
And that's a third-party platform or
third-party platform
okay,
that
that's
eventually
not AW Tech.
It's in the marketplace to download. They just aren't API integrated just yet.
Got it. Thanks.
Yep.
All right.
Adam,
Go for it, Michael.
Yeah, quick question, Adam. When you were dual career, were you solo agent?
Solo agent.
Okay.
Solo agent, transaction coordinator. Those are my two. That's my go-tos.
Gotcha.
I would tell anyone, solo agent coordinator is definitely your lifespan and a great family support.
Another question in the chat for you, Adam. How do you pick who you send the direct mail to?
Yeah, great question. I in the mail section, when you complete a real mailer, if you want to learn how to do the real mailers, they're in answers.kw.com. I would select them based on the algorithms from what I was getting from offers, just to say like who I want to send it to. But then also, seeing homes that sold neighborhoods that had high equity. I targeted those neighborhoods as well, knowing that they hadn't had a lot of sales recently. So I would use the cash offer program in high equity neighborhoods to say, hey, like looking for a cash offer, trying to get out quick. I know these cash offer locations the higher equity neighborhoods would give me that. So being a neighborhood expert to know where to go is a big important thing.
You work fairly solo, correct? Currently, Adam, you're not partnering with anyone, you said, correct? You're not in a group. You're just yourself, solo.
I actually did so much business that I hired a buyer's agent this past month.
Okay, congrats.
I was really excited for that. It was really cool, but she wanted to be on a team and I'm focusing on listings and took on the productivity role. So we are now a team. But I've broken the mold a little and kind of doing a tad differently than the MREA model. Didn't do admin, but went into a buyer's agent. So yeah. And I'm doing a productivity coaching program with 17 brand new agents who are now new to the business and either dual career or full-time real estate and trying to get into real estate fully.
Are they regional, or with Zoom, it doesn't need to be regional?
Only in my market center. Yeah. So in Charlotte, North Carolina, specifically.
Excellent. Congrats. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing feeling, y'all. And I tell you, really, if there's anything I would give you as takeaways, know your freedom number, know what it takes to get out of it. Read the one thing, live by MREA and shift. Find your energy plan. Your energy plan is whether or not it's networking here and then networking in the mornings. This is a great energy plan group. I think you have, Chanel, you are onto something that's amazing. Being able to do this, I wish I would have had this group. I probably would have had so much more to learn and so much more to glean from. And then the biggest thing is having your purpose, knowing what you want to do at a high level and committing to it. And don't quit, y'all. Don't give up, because you're gonna feel like this for a little while. But if you put those systems and models in place, you'll see the results. It takes time.
Was this a regularly scheduled, like an ongoing thing?
We do this every other month, the last Tuesday of the month. And now that I have your contact information from my Zoom registration, you'll get follow-up emails. And we are, of course, recording this. And so as soon as I have it downloaded and popped up onto YouTube, you'll all get the playback link as well.
Oh man, I'm on YouTube. All right.
On the YouTube, Adam Sellars.
I know. And I blanked on 30, 30, 40. I'm going to be embarrassed when I watch that back.
You know what? It's 7 o'clock at night. All right. Final few minutes. Anybody have anything that they'd like to add or suggest from your own experiences that was a win for you as a dual career agent that the rest of us could learn from?
The struggle is real.
And the solidarity is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's that's why I say the energy plan is so important, y'all. I mean, like I said, I had a baby. I had 2 kids during the time that I was a dual career agent, and got married in the past 3 years of doing all that. It will be exhausting, and there's days where you sit down on the couch and you meditate, or you just sit there and you don't do anything. And those are needed. So the 12-week year was a great suggestion on that. And that is something I've adopted this year for sure. It's taken every 3 months, taking that 1 week, and I just turn it all off. Either I need to focus on the career number 1 or just take a break altogether from, both and hit that vacation. But the rocks in the sand are definitely from the one thing, if you haven't heard that, making sure you put your vacations on your calendar from day one. So sitting down and planning those out is definitely important.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. That was an incredibly fast hour and so much content. Adam, you're a gem. I appreciate our new connection here. Thank you for being willing to give of yourself this evening. Give your wife and daughters a big hug from us and tell them that we appreciate their sacrifice of your time as well. The rest of you have a wonderful evening. I will be in touch with the recording link so that you can watch it back and kind of digest it in small pieces. Be well. Have a great week. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you think of Charlotte, I'd love to help you.
Thank you.
Yes, you have a referral partner in Charlotte now.
Thank you, everyone.